What's going on, Pokemon trainers? It's John here from 4Gamers with a video about a few of Pokemon Sun and Moon's creepy Pokédex entries. It's no secret that this game went down the route of providing us with some pretty interesting dialogue, so I think that it would surprise very few that when it came down to the Pokédex entries, Game Freak didn't fail to give us data that will probably plague our minds for the next few generations. In this video, we're going to take a look at 5 Pokédex entries that are weird, creepy, or just downright dark. Please keep in mind that there are plenty of other weird Pokédex entries in the game, so send me your favorites to be included in a future video. Without further ado, let's get started. Starting things off at number 5, we have the new ghostly ground-type Pokemon, Palossand. When I first saw this Pokemon, it honestly didn't immediately strike me as a part ghost type. It just looked like a pretty cool sandcastle that I knew I had to add to my team. But once I checked out its Pokédex entries after my Sandygast evolved, it was no wonder to me how it earned its ghost typing. Palossand's entry in Pokemon Moon is fairly frightening, stating that buried beneath the castle are masses of dried up bones from those whose vitality it has drained. This means that Palossand straight up kills people and then essentially holds onto their bones as souvenirs. Its Sun entry isn't too much chipper, saying that possessed people controlled by this Pokemon transformed its sand mound into a castle, and as it evolved, its power to curse grew even stronger. Not only does this sandcastle eat beachgoers, but it was created by people it enslaved by cursing them. All I have to say is that if Pokemon were indeed real, I'd be terrified for spring break. Up next at number 4 is the cute Kalos ghost, Phantump. I remember back when Phantump was introduced in X and Y, that everyone wanted to catch one of these Pokemon, and that if you had it in your friend safari, you were one of the few lucky enough to hunt for its shiny. Unfortunately, in Generation 7, Game Freak decided to make this adorable tree stump ghost the fuel for nightmares. In Pokemon Sun, its entry states that these Pokemon are stumps possessed by the spirits of children who died in the forest. Their cries sound like eerie screams. If you play through Sun and Moon and visit Memorial Hill, just east of Route 9, you can actually hear the cries of Phantump in the overworld. I'll play a clip of their screams now. This experience becomes all the more creepy when you realize that these are actually the screams of dead children according to the Pokédex entry. This dex entry also brings up an interesting point, however. If you can call chain several hundred Phantump hypothetically, and each Pokemon is different, then does this mean that several hundred children within the Alola region died within its forests? And if so, what does this have to say about the parenting skills of those who send their children off to complete their island challenges? Is your mom in the game trying to turn you into a Phantump? I guess we'll never really know, but it is something interesting to think about. Sneaking into number 3 is the disguise Pokemon, Mimikyu. Mimikyu very quickly became a beloved Pokemon by the community after Nintendo released its very touching backstory via a music video before the games even dropped. In the video, we get the sense that Mimikyu is simply a misunderstood Pokemon that wants to be loved, and therefore dresses up as Pikachu to get closer to people. But its Pokédex entries fill in a few creepy details that the catchy music video didn't tell us. According to its dex entry in Sun, its actual appearance is unknown. A scholar who saw what was under its rag was overwhelmed by terror and died from the shock. Well, that's pretty terrifying. No wonder Mimikyu hides its true appearance away from people. One look at this Pokemon's real body, and it's you who'll be rolled out under a sheet. Floating into number 2 is the balloon Pokemon from Sinnoh, Drifloon. This Pokemon definitely applies to the saying, don't judge a book by its cover, or in this case, by its rubbery purple outside. According to this Pokemon's Pokédex entry in Sun version, stories go that it grabs the hands of small children and drags them away to the afterlife. It dislikes heavy children. Now, despite the second part of this entry about the heavy children being downright hilarious, the fact that this cute Pokemon essentially kills children is truly frightening. Imagine walking around a theme park, potentially surrounded by hundreds of balloons that want to kill the children that are simply there to see their favorite mouse mascot. It gets even darker though. According to its Pokemon Moon entry, if for some reason its body bursts, its soul spills out with a screaming sound. As if popping a balloon wasn't frightening enough, if a Drifloon pops, it basically screams as it dissipates into the air around it. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm kinda curious as to what 20 Drifloons popped all at the same time sound like. Well, maybe not exactly like that, but in any case, I'm starting to rethink all of those Fridays I waited in anticipation for Drifloon to show up at the Valley Windworks in Sinnoh. Maybe instead of waiting for Drifloon, Drifloon was waiting for me. Also, should I be offended that it didn't try to drag me into the afterlife? I don't think I was a heavy child, but in any case, let's move on. And finally, in our number 1 spot of the list of 5 dark Pokédex entries of Sun and Moon, we have Gengar, the Shadow Pokemon. Now, Gengar's Pokédex entries have always been a little bit creepy, whether it be from X and Y's Gengar allegedly hiding in people's shadows at night and absorbing their heat, or in Fire Red, where it was said to steal the lives of those lost in the mountains. But in Pokemon Sun and Moon, Gengar's Pokédex entries got a whole lot darker. According to this Pokemon's Dex entry in Sun, should you feel yourself attacked by a sudden chill, it is evidence of an approaching Gengar. There is no escaping it. Give up. Now this entry especially stood out to me during my playthrough of Sun, because I had a Haunter on my team, and when I finally got it to evolve into a Gengar, the sheer eeriness of this entry is what provoked me to make this video. But little did I know that its Moon entry was far creepier than the one I had read until my brother told me about it. In Pokemon Moon, Gengar's Dex entry states that it apparently wishes for a traveling companion, since it was once human itself. It tries to create one by taking the lives of other humans. Okay, so I knew that Ghost-type Pokemon existed, with similar attributes to the Ghosts of lore, but I always assumed that since the actual spirit of the dead Marowak in Lavender Town was uncatchable, that these Ghost-type Pokemon weren't actually dead creatures, but apparently I was wrong. Pokemon like Gengar and Phantump are actually dead human beings, which is even creepier than what I could have imagined. Like, it's one thing if you have the spirit of a dead Pokemon on your team, but when you're battling with human being spirits, it just kinda seems wrong. In any case, this is why Gengar made the #1 spot on this list, and I'd love to hear what you guys think about these Dex entries, or any other ones that you might type in the comments below. Anyway, that about does it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'd like to give a special thanks to everyone who sent in their artwork for the thumbnail and a few scenes in this video. There were many amazing entries, and I'm sorry that I couldn't pick everyone's. Be sure to check out the artists whose work I did get to use in the description below. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one. Until next time, I'm John from 4Gamers, signing off.